Hello gorgeous ones, Dr. Lucy here. It's just after 5, Tuesday of course, and tonight's episode of Cooking, Coaching and Conversations. I am cooking chow mein, which I have done once before on this show, but I've got a slightly different twist to it. And I think last time I was doing some super effort and cooked like 3 meals in 15 minutes. So today I thought I'll just actually dedicate the whole half an hour to the chow mein because it's one of my faves and it's super easy. So, you know, I just like to use some old leftover scraps from the fridge. So tonight my cooking, you know, sometimes I'll put in oil, sometimes I'll put in olive oil. Tonight I'm actually just using some old scrap from the leftover of butter. So that's going to be my base. And I'll just quickly untangle that. Hope you've all been having a lovely day. It's been a funny old day in Melbourne. It started off magnificently beautiful and then just became kind of cold and grown in. Now the other thing is I'm trying a different phone stand. So the phone's actually a little bit closer. So I'm hoping I'll be able to show you things like, hi, here's the saucepan, without trying to reach across the bench and nearly killing myself. But it does mean I chop off half my head. But you know, this is what happens when you don't have a camera crew. And I also, hopefully you can't tell, I don't think you can, I don't have a scrap of makeup on today. Normally I try and shove a little bit of mascara on at least so I don't look like snake eyes. But no, zero makeup today. So this is just me. Raw, natural, 5 o'clock, keep looking at the clock. And you know my favourite tip, and it doesn't matter what brand, but because I hate chopping onions, and I think chopping onions do give a great flavour, I always just use these ones. They're frozen, you just bang them in, and I don't know, you know, just a little bit. So I just shove those in, and I don't have a spoon, so I'm just going to give this a little stir and let those do their magic. I've got a few fun things to show you today actually, which I'm quite looking forward to, and you'll also notice that, look, today I'm actually doing my very own chopping. I have got some pre-chopped mushies, but I thought tonight I'll just show you that, you know, look, seriously, it's actually not that hard to do your own chopping if you want to. Most of you know that I like to just do no chop Tuesday, which is try and whip together a meal with really no chopping at all. How are you gorgeous people? So now what have I got today? Organic, premium, organic beef mince, grass-fed. You know, I do, look, again, if you can get grass-fed, brilliant. If you can get organic, brilliant. If you can't, it's good enough. Okay, we have to sometimes be going, hey Carrie, that, you know, what's one of my favourite sayings? Don't let perfect be the enemy of good. Okay, and what that means is that sometimes we go, oh my God, I'm not doing it right, I'm not doing it perfectly, I'm just not going to bother. And you go from, you know, not having, so you have sort of any old mince, and you go, well, I can't do grass-fed organic, so I'm just getting Macca's. We're funny old creatures, aren't we? So any, look, I'm just turning my heat up because it's a little bit low. So any beef will do. But if you're lucky enough to be able to A, get and B, afford grass-fed organic, do that. If you can't, doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. I don't want price to be a barrier to real food because let's face it, junk food is so incredibly cheap and that's part of the allure. Our brain goes, oh, but it's so much cheaper. It's cheaper and faster and that's how it sucks us in. But cheap and fast. There's some sort of saying about that. You can get something cheap, you can choose 2 of 3 things. Cheap, fast and good quality. So pick your 2. You can get cheap and fast, but it's not going to be good quality. You can get cheap and good quality, but it's not going to be fast, or you can get fast and good quality. I'm going fast and good quality here. So this is what we're doing. Whipping up this beautiful chow mein in about, well, it'll be ready in less than 20 minutes. I'm just making sure that my thingy actually does its magic, which is to fry this thing off. I've got one, I bought this portable induction cooktop, so I don't normally sit here in the middle of my kitchen cooking. I have got a stove up the other end. So while that's just doing its magic trick there, I'm actually going to chop. Look at this. And you know, one of my things that I'm often saying to people is that when you achieve something, it doesn't matter how big or small. Oh yeah, Liz loves the Cleavers brand. Me too. I buy their burgers as well. It doesn't matter how big or how small your achievement is. The key to ongoing change is to acknowledge the achievement, acknowledge the change, and make a great big deal about it in your head. So one of my favourite sayings is have a party in your head. So you don't necessarily need to tell the whole world, although I'm always a big fan of that. So I'm having a tiny party in my head tonight about chopping my very own mushrooms. Well, not my own mushrooms, I bought in a shop, but chopping, doing my very own chopping, I should say. So again, it doesn't matter if you can chop. If you're buying, you pre-chopped, do that. Part of my reason for actually chopping is that somebody put the bag, you know how it comes in a paper bag, at the bottom of my crisper. And I've got one of those annoying fridges that leaks a bit of water at the bottom of the crisper. Seriously, I can't wait till this fridge properly dies and I can get a new one, because it drives me nuts. I have things just floating around and a little bit of water at the bottom, including bags of mushrooms. So I thought, well, I want to use them up quickly so they don't turn into literally mushrooms. Sorry, little joke. So I'm just giving this little bit of mince a stir, and then I'm going to put in my little favourite seasoning, which, people ask me, do you ever cook without mingle? And honestly, very, very rarely, because we cook, I cook mostly my food in a bowl, unless it's steak. If I'm doing steak and veggies, that'll be on a plate. But the majority of my food I like in a bowl. And so it just lends itself to bowl cooking so beautifully. So tonight I have the curry one. You can get this one, I think, at Coles, or as I said, I just like to order online. Sorry if I'm missing comments. I'm so busy yabbering on. So basically I'm going to pour this little curry mix in. Hopefully I've opened the lid properly. And then I'm going to fling in some mushrooms. Then I've got a bit of capsicum to go in it, and of course, chow mein, you have to have cabbage. Now, last time in my no-chop cooking, I actually bought a thing of coleslaw. So if you want to make it really quick, you can just buy pre-chopped mushrooms, pre-chopped coleslaw, and fling all that in. But as I said, today I thought I'd show you that I actually do have some, I don't know if they're magnificent chopping skills, but they're skills nonetheless. Now, you know that part of the reason about the grass-fed organic hoo-ha is that it increases the omega-3 in the meat. So meat has omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids. So the fat in the meat has some very good qualities. But we as a race, currently, our current diet is too high in omega-6. And the way to increase that is to either eat lots of fish, which is fairly hard in our family because my hubby really doesn't like fish, so I always eat fish when I go out, or I cook it when he's not home. But also to make sure that you try, if you can, grass-fed, because that gives you a higher omega-3 ratio in the meat. So now I'm just going to fling in a few of these mushrooms. And again, I don't know. People go, how many? I don't know. Enough? A pile? And then, this is the world's biggest capsicum. Doesn't it look magnificent? Somebody's already taken a sliver out of it. I suspect my daughter for her lunch this morning. And again, I'm not a perfect capsicum cutter. Doesn't actually matter. But I do like a bit of capsicum. I like some red. I like to get the colours. Some red, a bit of white, and some green. So the red for me today is capsicum. It's no good. There are some people out there who have leptin intolerances. They're leptin and nightshade. So leptin is a protein found on some vegetables. And for some people, they are intolerant of it. I'm completely onto that. But for the majority of people, you can actually tolerate these. And I just love the flavour of them. They're quite, hey, I'll tell you this. Here's a fun fact. So capsicum are a fruit. Everyone's going on about, oh my God, you don't eat any fruit, Lucy. And I go, I do eat fruit. I eat lots of fruit. I eat capsicums, they're a fruit. Eggplant are a fruit. Zucchinis are technically a fruit. What they are is they're not a sweet fruit. tomatoes are a fruit, and avocados are actually a fruit, if you're being very strict. I know that we're talking really in vegetable term. But so then for my sweet fruits, it is berries. I absolutely love raspberries. I know not everyone does. For some people, they're quite tart. But for me, they're just mag. So I did this last week. I forgot the lid. Can you bear with me a second while I do my schlep off? I won't be a minute. And I also did this last week where I couldn't find the round lid, so I just shoved a square lid on. A square lid on a round pot. There's some sort of joke about that. So while that's just cooking away, I'm just going to chop up a bit of cabbage. You can use any cabbage you like. It really shits me the way they wrap these cabbages. And again, it's my own... God, I just swore. I apologise. I am a bit of a swearer, so hopefully I haven't offended anybody. Or sort of pretended that I'm not totally professional, but it does give me the irrits, the way they absolutely plastify everything in the world. And what I probably should have done is gone to the market and bought my cabbage or the grocer. But in actual fact, I ordered all my vegetables and my meat, and everything came online yesterday and just rocked at my front door while I was at work. And in fact, the good news is my kids put it away for me. Even better. So anyway, I'm just going to chop this little thing up. You can chop it whichever way you want. Again, I don't think there's any rules on chopping cabbage. It's just cabbage. And what it's going to do is just shrink down, and it'll do a little bit of caramelising and just form that base of your chow mein that is so amazing. Now you'll notice I haven't put any fluid, because you don't want your chow mein too sloppy. Chow mein is not like spag bowl sauce that is meant to be sloppy. And you will get some liquid, if you like, coming out of the... Ooh, I did chop that one a bit thick. I'll just go, I think what I might do is go this way. Now, so we'll just, see, look, I can use a knife. Sometimes you just need to swear, you do, absolutely, because sometimes things do just give you the irrits. So, let me have a little look at what's happening under here. Okay, so I'm just giving it a little stir, and I'm just going to let those mushrooms cook in a bit. My fry pan is on its last legs. It's one of those non-sticks. It's a chef's toolbox. I'd actually love to know everybody's recommendations for a fry pan, because this one is like, I don't know, a lot of years old, maybe 15, and it's really run out of steam. So I need to buy another one of those big pan things. If you can give me your recommendations, that would make my life so easy. So so I'm just going to let that go for a little bit. Now while that's cooking away, I wanted to show you, I bought these beautiful cards. Now they come, I've taken them out of all their packaging, and they come in this little bag, and you won't be able to see because the light's shining on, but it's called the self-worth movement. No, you definitely can't see. And what they are is they're little affirmation, well, they're not little, they're actually gigantic, have affirmation cards, and they've got these beautiful pictures on the front, like this one. Oh God, that light's terrible, isn't it? Hang on. So can you see that? Anyway, what I'm going to do, I don't do tarot or anything like that. Do you know what? My husband has the most amazing ability to predict songs coming on the radio. Like, he just says, do you know what, I reckon in this break they're going to have, you know, Cold Chisel or something, or I reckon in this break Elsie Kroll. And I just think, can you use this sort of superpower for good? Anyway, I have none of that ability. So I'm actually just using these, but what I like to do every now and then is I just kind of randomly pick one and decide that this is what the universe wants to tell me today. So I thought I'd do this today with you girls and boys on Facebook. So I'm actually just picking this one. Oh, and do you know what's really weird? So I don't know if you can see it, it says, I am sincere. Now, the weird thing about this is that I was gifted these cards. I was gifted a card by somebody, and in the card it says, and the one that I got in the mail, it was in with a gift pack, was this one, I'm sincere. So the thing I like about it, and I'm going to read it out because it's really beautiful just to read things, you know, that are just authentic, gorgeous words. So this one says, sincere, treats herself with wholehearted respect. She is an earnest, genuine communicator who speaks with dignity, kindness, and compassion. Honesty and good intentions are always at the core of the things she says and does. Now, do you know what? This was a fluke that I just picked this one out, but honestly, that's my mantra. I live by that. So I really think this is good. Sincere makes good choices and gives generously of her time, knowledge, wisdom, and resources without expectation. Her motto is, mean what you say and say what you mean. Or in our case, walk the walk, don't just talk the talk. Without being mean. Oh, okay, I missed a thing. Mean what you say and say what you mean without being mean. She's friendly, open-minded, and approachable with a humble confidence and inspiring nature. She doesn't seek approval from anyone but herself and chooses to do what is right without being swayed by the opinion of others. Sincere is grounded in grace, strength, and integrity. She doesn't judge others and accepts responsibility for herself. Be confidently comfortable in your own skin and forge your own purpose-driven path. You are sincere. How beautiful is that message? It's so gorgeous. So these cards are produced by an Australian girl. You know, I love sort of, I guess, just supporting Australian women. Her name is Farah Mack. So F-A-R-A is her first name. Mack, M-A-K, is her second name. And if you want to go and follow her, she runs a movement called the Self-Worth Movement. And she's a very genuine, lovely girl. So I would certainly think about these. As I said, I think these would be they're really beautiful for women, but also teenage girls, because they've got a lot of, you know, there's a whole heap, there's all about fashion. So you can see that. I'm not much of a fashionista. So for me, the fashion element is not that, doesn't speak to me per se, but you can imagine for some girls, and particularly, yeah, it's a beautiful, there's millions of these, like there's 48 or something, so I'm going to read one each week, and they're, you know, they're words like I am courageous, I am determined, just I am vulnerable, I'm empowered. So I think that that's something that is a very worthwhile thing to be doing. Now let's have a look. We're doing chow mein. I'm cooking it, that was just the water dripping off. I'm cooking it in, somebody asked when am I cooking it in. I'm cooking it in just a fry pan, like this. It's a chef's toolbox one, which, as I said, was, you know, all the rage about 12 or more years ago. And that looks magnificent. Now what I'm going to do, and it's quite moist, I'm just going to fling, can you hear? So because we had thunderbolts and lightning before, I've let all the dogs in. So can you hear them patting around? You won't be able to see them because they're down low. And two of them are fluffies, white fluffies. And I'm going to tell you all of our dogs have they're super expensive. Not because we paid that much for them, because they keep seeming to end up at the vets, costing us a friggin' fortune. Not that vets are expensive, the vet was very cheap, but our dogs seem to get themselves into big trouble. So a couple of months ago, our littlest dog, so we had some cabbage and I threw it in the compost. Well, actually I threw it in the chicken bin when we had chickens, and it sort of got sat in the bin, you know, the chicken, like the scrap bin in the kitchen for a few days, and more food got piled on top. And now I'm just going to turn this up a bit. And anyway, my daughter took these scraps out to the chickens to feed them, and meantime, our smallest little white fluffy, who probably weighs about 4 kilos, snuffled her way out there and went rummaging into the chicken food and ate this mouldy cabbage. Now, here's a tip for young players. Mouldy cabbage has endotoxins that are highly toxic to dogs, and within half an hour she was fitting, and she went into something called status epilepticus, which is just continual fitting. And my poor girl, she was home by herself, and luckily the gardener man, we had a man doing some work, he was there, and she came out with this little dog crying, and she just said, you know, can you take me and my dog to the vet? So off they went to the vet, and the vet had to actually sedate the dog, and then we had to transfer the dog to intensive care, and then the dog was 3 days. 3 days, and the only reason we found out that it was the moldy cabbage was because about 12 hours later, the kelpie thought she might go rummaging around the chicken area, and then she didn't end up sort of fitting, but she ended up with these really tremulous things. They're called staggers or something like that. So she goes off to the vet as well. She stayed just one night. So consequently, these are like the $6 million dogs. You'd think we would have learned our lesson, but no. Last week, I think it was last Friday night, one of the kids wakes up and says, "Mum, Dad," it's 1 o'clock in the morning, mind you, "the dogs have eaten all our Easter eggs." So one of the white fluffies, not the first $6 million dog, the other one, she wanted to go. She'd eaten a toxic amount of chocolate for dogs, so she had to go off to Vetland 1 o'clock in the morning, stomach pumped. So yes, Liz, they are perfectly fine now, perfectly happy, beautiful, lovely dogs. I do love them. I mean, that's why we have dogs, because they are amazing. But seriously, they do get themselves into a bit of trouble. So I'm just turning the fry pan up a bit because this is quite a full pan, and I just want to steam this quite crunchy cabbage. So I hope you're all having, I'm just checking the time, good, we've still got 5 minutes to go, it'll be completely done by then. I've got my coaching call tonight actually for the 12-weekers. Normally we would have it on a Thursday, but this week Mary and I have a business meeting to go to. So we have moved it to Tuesday. And I tell you what I'm talking about for all of you 12-weekers who might be watching. We're talking about enoughness. So enough is one of our failings, is that we often aren't happy. I missed the beginning. Am I able to get the recipe? Of course you can, Liz. What we're doing is cooking, I'm cooking chow mein. It's really simple. It is basically, I put in some butter, I add some frozen onions, which are my secret ingredient to everything, because I really hate chopping onions and I stopped using them, but they do have some goodness. So so chopped onions, a bit of butter, a kilo of minced beef, some mushrooms, some capsicum, and a bit of mingle. I'm using the curry one. And then I've just put in half a little cabbage. I'm waiting for that to just saute down. And when I'm finished with that, I'm going to stir through sour cream. And that's it. You don't even need a recipe. Oh, I haven't found the right lid. No, I'm still using the stupid square one. I don't know where the other one is. I suspect it's been putting away somewhere. So when we're talking about enough is, as women, we are often thinking that we haven't done enough. We haven't lost enough weight. It's not fast enough. We're not doing enough. We haven't got our kitchen clean enough. My meals aren't perfect enough. I haven't chopped the cabbage fine enough. There's all this enough stuff. And you know what? Stuff the enough. We've got to just be much kinder to ourselves. Because remember, stuff the enough, in fact, that could be a great little new phrase. Don't let perfect be the enemy of good. Because perfection's a myth. It doesn't exist. Nothing in life is perfect, yet we're striving for it. So we go, you know what? It's actually a case, and this possibly is my life mantra, although, is that near enough is good enough. Near enough is usually good enough. Now, maybe not if you're a neurosurgeon or someone that's doing fine jewellery work, where, near enough means you miss the actual whole thing. But for the majority of our life, near enough is actually good enough. And the more we do that, the easier that we can actually do things. The way our brain works for behavioural change is it wants to see, it needs to be acknowledged. So when you make a change, no matter what, no matter how big, how small, you go, oh, yay. Give yourself a little internal yay, little high five, because that helps with those neurons that are actually connecting together to give you some positive reward. Because remember, we are reward-driven creatures, but the reward doesn't have to be food. It can actually be our own inner dialogue going, yeah, good on you. Great job. You've done a great job. Think about how we use those phrases for kids all the time. We're always saying to them, good job, well done. But, you know, do we ever say that to us? No. We go, right, haven't done enough. I wish I could sit down, but I haven't folded the washing. I wish I could do this, but I haven't done enough cleaning. I wish I could get that job, but I'm not thin enough. So much enoughing. And enough, stuff the enough. We are all, this is where that I am enough comes from. And sometimes it doesn't, if you don't know the kind of logic behind what that actually means, it is all about that. You don't have to be any thinner, brighter, prettier, smarter. You are actually just enough. And that when you're on your health journey, you're doing it. That's what people go, I can't wait till this is all, I can't wait till the weight's gone. Well, this might sort of kind of deflate a few sales, but when the weight's gone, nothing changes. Life is exactly the same, you just need smaller clothes. You still feel the same about yourself at whatever size you are. And we know that this is true. Hey, I've got a pointer. We know this is true because I'm fairly sure that a lot of you have had pictures of yourself, you know, years ago where you've seen yourself and you've got, oh my God, like at the time, you just thought you were fat. You were so fat. You thought, oh my God, I'm so fat. Look at my legs. They're so enormous. All of this negative talk. And then you look at a picture later on, you know, 10 years later, and you go, oh my God, I can't believe I thought I was fat then. Look how thin I am. So the stories that we tell ourselves are not true. They're just not true. So yes, stuff the enough. We are all good enough and we're all on a path. And hopefully the idea is that we're moving forward, and at the speed at which you're moving doesn't matter. You just keep going forward and forward. Now, this is looking great. Did you see that, Steve? So I'm going to actually move this over here because what I'm going to do, seriously, I would like a lid that fitted enough, I will tell you that, but anyway. So this looks, oh, look at that. Can you see the steam? So I'm holding it up. Can you see how great it looks? It looks exactly like chow mein would, but there's no need for 2-minute noodles. Now, it's a tiny bit dry at the moment, but I haven't put in, oh shush, the secret ingredient. Now, I thought, there's probably quite a bit of cream in there, so I'm actually just going to grab another spoon. If I'd finished, if there was just a bit at the bottom, I'd just use the same old Menke spoon. But how much would I put in? I don't know. I'll see how it goes. So I'm going to start with a big dollop and probably 2 big dollops. Can you see that? And I'm just going to stir that through and see what it looks like. Make sure, and I just go on. Is it tasty enough? Is it the right mushiness? I'm sure that's a pretty good chef term. So, I mean, really, this little dish, which is really, it's ready to serve now, except I've got no one to serve it to, so I'll just put it on low. Totally magnificent. If you don't like capsicum, don't put them in. If you don't like mushrooms, don't put them in. If you want to put some other vegetables in, do that. I think for a chow mein, you probably need the cabbage and the curry powder and the sour cream. Who would have thought that that combination, oh, hey Liz, you're right up my alley. I go, who would have thought that combination would do the trick? But seriously, that is totally magnificent. So I'm looking forward to dinner tonight, my loves. It's all done. I'm going to put the lid on so that one of our 4 cats doesn't eat it. 3 dogs, 4 cats. No wonder I have to work so hard. Oh, I've had fun tonight, my loves. I have had fun. So I'll put the recipe up I'll post a picture, because I like to post a picture of it actually a bit plated up. Dr. Mary does ugly food. I like to have mine looking a little, it's not fancy, but I do like to have it in a white bowl. And we have these running jokes about Mary's brown plates. I said to her one day, Mary's, can you just get a white plate or something? Oh, it looks so much nicer. She goes, no, I'm doing brown plate, I'm doing ugly food, I'm going to own it. So she does the ugly food, tastes delicious, very healthy, tiny bit ugly, but I am doing the easy, so it's quick, it's nutritious, it's relatively inexpensive. I'm not going to tell you it costs nothing, but it's reasonably cheap, and seriously, you can feed your whole family for that. Oh, I can add. And that's it. That's it for me, darlings. I will see you all next week, 5 o'clock. I'm looking forward to it. Just remember, I forgot to do a little plug for our next round of the 12-week Mind Body Rebalance, which starts Sunday week, and the doors open on Monday. We have this time, I'm going to tell you this for those who are listening, for this round we have a new bonus, and it's a 31-day, so it's a daily hypnosis, a 31-day little package called Hypnosis for Real Health and Weight Loss. It's not super imaginative, but you get the point. And that's a free bonus for the people that sign up on the first day. So yay to you. See you all then. Have a wonderful week. Bye now.